Welcome on into the Baseball Insiders on a Thursday afternoon. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by Fansided's MLB insider Robert Murray. The Los Angeles Dodgers decided that it had been too many games, one game, since they had taken a massive shutout victory over the New York Mets, so they did it again. They're up 2-1 now in the NLCS. Everybody's still talking about the Shohei Ohtani home run that built a sixth deck at Citi Field and then landed in it. We also want to talk about the San Francisco Giants change at pitching coach Nick Castellanos hitting a deep drive that included Scott Boras driving out of his life. What to look out for in the remainder of the NLCS. Obviously, the ALCS, Yanks up 2-0, and that will either be 3-0 or 2-1 probably by the time you watch this show, given that that game starts at 5 o'clock. So not much to say there other than that's what's up. And we'll know more about that next week when we get here. But joining me as always to talk me through it all is Fansided's MLB insider Robert Murray. Robert, how are you doing, dude?
I am doing great. I have a scoop to start the show. It is Adam Weinrib's birthday. I don't know what year it is for Adam, but it is Adam's birthday. So everyone make sure to wish Adam Weinrib a happy birthday in the comments. The show is not possible without Adam. We love him to death. And he is the absolute best. So Adam, I hope your birthday is as great as you are, and good luck to your Yankees the rest of the postseason. But speaking of the postseason, I just did an Adam Weinrib little segue there, so I'm kind of proud of myself for that. Lots happening. The Dodgers kind of took hold of that series again. The Yankees are doing their thing. We got lots to discuss here. Let's dive right into it. Adam, how are you doing? What are your birthday plans today?
Yeah, I am good. And to answer your question, I don't know what year it is either, but I think that's the point of birthdays. I'm going to go out. We're going to watch this game. We're going out in New York just a little bit, just a teens. It's a Thursday. 5:08 first pitch. I mean, I get it, but also come on, Major League Baseball, not fair, not fun. Either way, we're going to have ourselves a night. We're going to open some presents. We're going to go to a big old wedding this weekend. I'm excited about that, because it means I don't have to plan a big birthday party. If you have something you want to say between shows, whether it's regarding my birthday or the Major League Baseball offseason, which feels more likely, I'm just going to be honest, join us in the Discord. That's where you get to ask questions to Robert and myself between shows. We've got the Rumor Mill tier. We've got the All-Star tier with private perks for our upgraded members. We love all of you. Already seeing join the Discord in the comments. Love to see that, obviously. So hit that join button under the video if you like what you see. Also like it and subscribe if you haven't. Want to tune your attention to the Moonshot as well, our weekly baseball email newsletter here at Fansided, where the Fansided MLB team, including Robert Murray, breaks down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. So subscribe to that email blast if you aren't yet. And speaking of blasts, see, I just pulled an Adam Weinrib. We can nitpick the Severino start. We can give Walker Buehler his flowers, and we should, because that game, that might have been the most impactful part of Game 3 in this series and potentially beyond. But man alive, Shohei Ohtani with runners in scoring position. Can't get him out. No hits without risk. A lot of hits with risk. And yesterday's 3-run shot, it's not like the Mets weren't already reeling down 4-0, but Shohei Ohtani went upper tank to pretty much shut that game down and get the internet rumor mill going, because now that's what we've retreated into. Oh, I heard from a source that's close to a source that MLB stopped printing World Series Mets gear, and MLB canceled their, floodlight subscription for Citi Field. Okay, but when Shohei Ohtani hits a home run quite that hard and quite that far, it's reasonable that conspiracies start floating around. I mean, it's not true. Also, the comments saying we are glazing Ohtani home run. We're going to glaze a bunch of home runs as well. So stay tuned if you like to hear home runs get glazed.
Yeah, we're going to be getting into Kiké Hernández here in a little bit, so don't you worry, Patrick.
I will say glaze always makes me laugh. It's one of those that I should be over and should be like, come on, guys. But I do laugh when I see that word.
It is a funny term. I will say that. I'm right there with you on that one. But what Ohtani, he is such a rare player, and his splits with runners in scoring position compared to not is, I don't know if we've ever seen something like that before. It's a very unusual thing. It seems like he kind of just thrives with runners in scoring position. And last night, when it was a 4-0 ball game, he hit an absolutely towering home run to just blow that game wide open for the Dodgers. And Ohtani is, we've talked about this countless times on the show, and we'll be talking about it countless times in the future as well. He is such a rare player. And the fact that we're He's been as dominant as he was in the regular season, both with the Angels and the Dodgers, and he's kind of continued that, just hitting towering home runs and being a game-changing player in the postseason here. It's really fun to see him on baseball's biggest stage, and you wonder where the Dodgers would be without Ohtani, and then you realize, oh yeah, he's going to be in the rotation next year when he's fully recovered from his elbow surgery. The fact that he's had this great of a season, when he's recovering from that surgery is just absolutely crazy. And he's such a rare, fun player. And I can't wait to see what he does going forward in the future. But as for now, he's got the Dodgers 2 wins away from advancing to the World Series. And seeing Ohtani in the World Series would be pretty damn cool.
It would be. And I'm not going to go as far as to say that it will be, because I think I wanted to preach caution after the Dodgers Game 1 win. And the Mets came back and had a pretty impressive performance. Dodgers win Game 3 in a similar statement. I think the Mets are going to win tonight's game. And I think if the Mets can get it to 6, and it happen, whether it's in LA or whether it's at Citi Field, they looked pretty lifeless yesterday. But I do think the Mets, this specific Mets team, has shown from one day to the next that, hey, they wake up and they do look completely different. That was their worst performance of the postseason. And I'm surprised it happened in Game 3 at home. And I'm surprised they let Walker Buehler do it to him. But I do not think they are dead in the water in this series yet. But a player who I'm not surprised that they let them do it to them is Kiké Hernández, who is the new Will Smith, the reliever Will Smith, not the guy who slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. Kiké Hernández homers every postseason. It does not matter what team he is on, what league he is in. He is quite simply one of the best postseason hitters that we have. His 2021 Red Sox run represented a new peak for him, even after so many clutch Dodgers homers over the years. And the Dodgers might not let him get away this time, because any team with World Series ambitions at this point would be smart to bring him on board. I understand that baseball is a percentages game at this point. We're very careful with the stats that we emphasize and the pages we look at and the charts we examine. Kiké Hernández could be playing for any team in the postseason. If you're a playoff team, forget the analytics for a second. Although obviously the exit velocity is kind to him. It's not like he sucks according to the analytics and is good according to the eye test. But he's a freaking postseason stud, and just don't think twice. Just start him.
No, there's a reason why Dodgers fans wanted Kiké Hernández back. There's a reason why he wanted to go back to LA. There's a reason why both sides here wanted to get a deal done. And there's a reason why that he took less money to go back to LA. Is he thrives in LA. This is where he's at his best. And we've seen it in previous postseasons, and we've seen it now this postseason as well. He steps up in the absolute biggest moments for the Dodgers. He's hit some clutch home runs in this series already. And it just seems like this is where he's meant to be. And I remember there was some people from the outside, non-Dodgers fans or ball writers who kind of were knocking the signing after it ended up happening in the offseason. But this was a match made in heaven for both Kiké Hernández and the Dodgers. But it's not just him either. It's like they've had some lesser known guys step up. I think a big one here is Tommy Edman. He was an under-the-radar addition for the Dodgers at the deadline. They ended up getting him in a 3-team deal with the White Sox and the Cardinals. And still, to me, the fact that the Dodgers got Edman and then also Michael Kopech, who has been absolutely lights out since going to LA. I wonder what his future looks like if he can be in a rotation piece in the future. Who knows there?
If he keeps the man bun, he's a reliever. If he changes the hairstyle, he's a starter.
No, I think I'd honestly #analytics. I mean, that's about as analytical as it gets right there. But they've had a lot of these different guys step up. I know we talk how much there's stars in this roster and just how loaded they are up top, but it's the other guys. It's like the Max Muncies, it's Kiké Hernández, it's the Tommy Edmans, it's Michael Kopech. It's guys like that who are really allowing the Dodgers to kind of take that next step and have them basically on the doorstep of advancing to the World Series. And if they end up winning it, I mean, the Dodgers can finally end up having the Mickey Mouse championship talk kind of thrown off their backs, because they still hear about that to this day. But they're talented, and yeah, it's not just the stars, it's the lesser known guys here.
Yeah, if the Dodgers do win the World Series, they're going to move that Mickey Mouse tag over to the New York Yankees because you're already seeing Twitter having, oh, this is the easiest playoff path ever. All right. I mean, if it was that easy, then why didn't the Orioles beat the Royals and why didn't the Astros beat the Tigers? It's hard to win playoff games and series. And by the way, we all know what you're doing. Yankees haven't made it to the World Series yet. They're up 2-0. They need to win 2 more games. I know what your tweets are. I know what you're doing.
Yeah, no, they are. Well, it's not the easiest road to the World Series by any means. And I've seen some people kind of call them a juggernaut. Jeff Passan is one of them. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. They're a flawed team. Although I will say, we talk about Juan Soto, we talk about Aaron Judge, we talk about all these guys, but Luke Weaver, how about that emergence there? I mean, I remember when I was the one who dropped that signing last year. And it was on arbitration day. And I thought, okay, this is going to get lost in the shuffle. But people were kind of clowning that signing, be like, oh my God, the Yankees disaster class. Like, why do we not invest in like bigger name guys? But all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, this guy's like, he's one of the best he's like one of their best relievers, one of the best relievers in the AL. I mean, it's like, yeah, that was a very like smart, shrewd move by that front office there. But they're far from a juggernaut in my opinion.
I would agree, and I look back at my headline from the day that you broke that news, and it was Yankees reportedly re-signing journeyman starter for way more money than you'd expect. So didn't even know he was going to be a reliever at that point moving forward.
Because he was supposed to be the number 5 guy, right?
He was supposed to be like a swing man. Like they lose Domingo Germán, and they need to make up innings. And who knew? Like he got 3 starts for them down the stretch last year during lost September. And if the Yankees continue doing great, if they get these 2 wins, if they advance the World Series, if they give themselves a shot, I'm going to give so much. I'm already going to give credit to it, but so much more credit to September 2023 when they were in the middle of a lost season. Playoffs were an afterthought. They're like 10 games out. I think they cut it to 6 or something, but whatever. Dead in the water. Austin Wells gets the whole month worth of run and proves himself to be a viable starting catcher. Started all year, played great up until the last couple of weeks, but he'll be a factor again soon. They get Michael King some starts. They move him into the rotation. Without that happening, the Juan Soto trade doesn't go down the way it did. Either they have to sub in Clark Schmidt and maybe an even better prospect, or just never materializes. But the Padres saw what Michael King could do, took that deal because the Yankees gave him 5-6 starts in a lost season. And then Luke Weaver, claimed in the middle of September, got 3 starts. They were good. And I think when he came back, when you tweeted that, all of us were like, all right. I mean, obviously they liked something they saw, and I didn't hate it either. I'd wish there were higher profile moves, and then the Stroman one followed. But at this point, the Weaver deal is a much bigger deal than the Marcus Stroman signing. And credit to the Yankees for they've been wearing out this bullpen. They've been going. That's how you know Aaron Boone's managing well, because he's keeping the foot on the gas pedal, and it's been playoff formula. Like, I trust 4 guys. 4 guys are going to pitch today. May not last forever, but he's done a fantastic job so far against, again, the Cleveland Guardians, who are the number 2 team in the American League this year. If you think this is an easy path, then you should have told your teams to win more games than the Cleveland Guardians, because they did not, and they're the 2 seed.
No, and there's no such thing as an easy run to the World Series either. Like, and especially in the Yankees' case, it's like they're far from a perfect team, but yet they've gotten this far. They're up 2-0 over the Guardians right now. And it's just, I don't know. The talk of an easy run to the World Series kind of just bothers me. And yeah, the Yankees, they're far from that. They're far from perfect, but this is not an easy run by any means. And the Guardians are tough. Like, we got to give them credit. This is not a team that's bad. Like, they way exceeded expectations this year. Yep. Stephen Vogt's going to be the American League Manager of the Year, most likely. They have one of the best bullpens in recent memory. They got some star players like Jose Ramirez, Steven Kwan. I mean, like, the list goes on and on here. Like, this is a talented, very talented team. They deserve respect. And honestly, in the Yankees' case, so do they, because this is not easy whatsoever.
No. And everybody said before the series that the 4 horsemen in the Guardians bullpen are going to challenge the Yankees. It's going to be hard for the Yankees to win a tight game. And then the Yankees win 2 games at home, and it's like, this is easy. I know what you're doing. I know why you're doing it, and I understand. And if I were in the hater seat, I would be doing it too. But it's clear hater mode. The Guardians are the second best team in the American League this year, and it's been a back and forth series so far. Neither team has performed particularly well. Both have additional ceilings to reach. I didn't intend to talk about the Yankees at all, and we had like 5 minutes. It is what it is. Let's talk about some of the news of the week and get to some questions as well. Bryan Price resigned as San Francisco Giants pitching coach. J.P. Martinez will take over, be elevated into the role. Any read early on what Giants fans can expect from Martinez? Mostly continuity, I assume, and obviously a younger voice.
Yeah, as far as Martinez goes, this is continuity for the Giants. I think that's a great point by you. But he also represents. He's a former player. He's 42 years old, so he's much more along the players' age. Can relate to them a little bit more. Not saying Bryan Price couldn't, but I think having that playing history and also the youth is going to really benefit him. But you also look at the guys that he's worked with. You look at Andrew Bailey, you look at Brian Bannister, you look at Bryan Price. Like those are three really good and high. Those are names that are really well respected around the industry, and I think it's a good move by the Giants. I trust their decision making on this one, but I also think in terms of Bryan Price, this was not a move that was unexpected by any means. When last year, when the Giants hired Bob Melvin, it was pretty much understood that Bryan Price was done as a pitching coach, but there was only one opportunity that he would really entertain, and it was the Giants because of his relationship with Bob Melvin, but also the fact that he grew up in the Bay Area and grew up a Giants fan. And when Melvin called him, like that was an opportunity that was too good to pass up. But I think each side had an understanding that it was not going to be a long-term commitment. It was more of a short-term thing. Maybe they expected it to be more than a year, but anything more than 2 years, I think would have been pretty unlikely. But now that the Giants, they potentially have a long-term person as a pitching coach right now in Martinez. We'll see how it goes, but I think there's reasons to be optimistic about the hire, and the continuity is always good. And we've seen some players already voice support for the hire as well.
That's always important too. Don't discount the importance of players supporting a hire, especially when you're transitioning off of a popular talent and a respected veteran like Bryan Price. I can't get out of the show without doing Nick Castellanos, who dropped Scott Boras this week, 2 years away from free agency, and also just sort of in the middle of the championship series again, like, a couple days to regroup after the Phillies postseason run ends. And this is his next move. I mean, what do we got? What do we got cooking here? Any more ripple effects to be expected? We obviously had a lot more drama around Jordan Montgomery than we did around Nick Castellanos, but it does make you think.
Yeah, there's a lot more drama around the Montgomery one than the Castellanos dropping Boras. And I don't think this is necessarily a sign of things to come as far as other players dropping Boras. But I had heard this one recently, and I'm like, my first inclination is, oh, who did he go to? But to my knowledge, as of this point, I don't think he has an agent quite yet. So nobody has Castellanos as far as like a client, and Castellanos is kind of just doing his own thing. I don't think he necessarily needs to be in a hurry to hire a new agent, considering he's got a couple of years remaining on his contract. But it is interesting timing, though, that he dropped Boras. I wonder what the reasoning was. I know there's a lot of people, a lot of agents who are wondering what the reason was. My phone has been blowing up nonstop about that over the last, I'd say, 48 hours since his wife ended up going out on Twitter and kind of announcing that he had dropped Boras. But I don't have a reasoning quite yet, although it is very strange. But Castellanos, he does his own thing. He is not somebody who is he's somebody who's very comfortable doing his own thing. So we'll see what ends up happening here, but it was definitely a move that caught a lot of people's eyes around baseball, and I'm wondering what the next move could possibly be for him.
Caught my eye for sure. Had to bring it up, and we'll obviously keep tabs on this all offseason. Couple questions before we sign off from the Discord. Our friend Punk Rock Poppy in the All-Star channel got priority by getting his question in. His question, what the F are the Cardinals going to do with Nolan Arenado? Who, I think this is a valid question, because we know the Cardinals are in rebuild mode. We've long thought that Arenado would, maybe it's not when he leaves the Rockies, but maybe he'll find his way off the Cardinals at some point, and he'll find his way to the Dodgers. So what happens here? Long-term future in St. Louis? Is he a piece they're able to move? And what does the portfolio of potentially interested teams look like? I know last time he was available, Yankees Twitter was looking at Arenado too, but Arenado at this age with diminished fielding abilities, diminished bat, Jazz Chisholm playing a pretty good third base, even though that's not his natural fit. But then Gleyber Torres to free agency, Jazz to second, Arenado to third. If you are willing to take on that money, it's obviously a lot of money. I don't know. I wouldn't be in favor of that, but any potential fits for Arenado?
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are going to end up listening on any of their big salaries. It's just a case of where they want to shed, like they're trying to like lessen the payroll. They've even been very adamant about doing that as far as when they were doing their end of season press conferences of like what their future could look like for next season. And you look at guys like a Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt is reportedly not going to return according to Katie Wu. You have Wilson Contreras. I mean, you have some of these big salaries. And I definitely think that any of those big salaries are going to be fair game as far as trade talks. I don't have a good enough read quite yet as far as what the trade market could look like for him. But we're talking about a guy who's 33 years old. He does have a big contract, but you also look at his OPS plus, like where in 2022 it was 151, and then in 2023 it was 108, and then in 2024 it was 101. And so it's kind of dropping here. He's still like a productive player, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to get the Nolan Arenado version of what he was with the Colorado Rockies. I mean, he's not that same player anymore, but he can still be a difference maker on the field, but also in the clubhouse as well. I think that's something that's really underrated about Nolan Arenado is that he's a leader. He's someone who can be like the leader of a locker room. I think that's invaluable, especially for some of these other teams. So we'll see what happens, but I would not rule out a trade. But I think anyone with a big salary in St. Louis is fair game.
Agreed. We got to ask about a good question, Punk Rock
Yep.
Bobby. One final question. I want to get this right. Canyon from the Discord asked, if Robert Murray, that's you, had to pick a fight between either fighting a bear or a lion, which animal would you pick? Also, you have the choice of letting me help you, but if you choose me, you'd have to fight both a bear and a lion. So I would not recommend that choice, but
No.
Which animal would you choose?
I do agree that Seattle could help, or Arenado could help Seattle. So I think that's a good call, Raymond. But as far as that, I think I'd rather choose to fight a bear because I think a lion is just going to be vicious and ferocious. You didn't necessarily specify what kind of bear. There's certain bears who are scaredy cats, and I could like go like that and try to like make it run up a tree. So I mean, I think I'm choosing a bear in that case. It's a very good question, Canyon. It's one that made me think, but I'm gonna go with a bear because I would not stand a chance against the lion. If a bear chose to fight me or actually come at me, I would not stand a chance either. But I think I could scare it away if I ended up doing that thing, just making myself look big. So again, good question, but that's my final answer.
Shout out to our viewership numbers being the largest they've been all episode, just in time for the bear live. Also, incredible. Shout out to the comment section for just continuing to talk about baseball contract minutia while we talk about fighting bears and lions. That's why the Baseball Insiders fans are the best. And that's why we will be right back here for you next Monday afternoon. Not a holiday, 3:30 Eastern, same time, same channel. Yep. Like and subscribe if you haven't. We're going to know more. We might even know the World Series matchups. It would theoretically be before, Game 6 of the CS would be Sunday, and Game 6 of the NLCS and Game 6 of the ALCS would be Monday. So we might have World Series matchups. We might have AL and NLCS matchups to talk about and break down. Monday could be a very active day. It could be a prep day. Either way, Robert Murray, thank you for joining me as always, and we're going to have a fun show.
Oh, we're going to have a very fun show. We always do, but I appreciate you doing this on your birthday, Adam. I hope your birthday goes great. I hope the Yankees continue to do their thing for you. Nice. I hope you enjoy your birthday dinner, and we will see everyone back here on Monday. It will be none of our birthdays. Nope. To my knowledge, at least. I don't know if it's Joanne's birthday, but I don't think it is.
Chime in the comments if it's your birthday. Let us know.
Yeah, if it is Joanne's birthday, I'm going to be pretty embarrassed, but I don't think so. But we appreciate everyone who tuned in.
Yeah.
Joanne tells us that it is definitely not her birthday.
No
so
birthday.
It is not her birthday. So that'll be good. Andrew, safe travels to DC for the wedding. Adam, and thank you very much. You're the man.
You are the man. Thank you for doing this show. This was a fantastic one and a fun one. Get your questions in next time in the Discord, in the All-Star channel, or in the comments when the show starts. We will see you right back here on Monday. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.